time. No, the computer. Look at this, though. And we have a guest. Kaitlyn Holloway is joining us. She had expressed interest in possibly, finding out more about the council and interest in joining. So that's cool. And it looks like, let's admit, we have Chris is here and Peter is here. It's great. Good. Are we waiting for anyone else?
Right.
1, 2, 3. I think that's all of us. Hello. So we have public speak, which I was just saying we have a guest, Kaitlyn Holloway. And Kaitlyn, hi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm happy to. My name is Kaitlyn Holloway. And like was mentioned, I was sort of interested in just learning more about the Cultural Council and what the committee was about. I'm an Easthampton resident and event planner. Currently, I work at Dakin Humane Society as the Development and Events Coordinator. And formerly, I was the producer at the Valley Voices Story Slam at the Academy of Music. So I have a lot of interest in events and I'm curious about what the committee does. So thanks for having me and sending me the link.
Great. That's great. Sorry if it was short notice, but we just got our meeting together. And I guess Louise is not here yet. So if she comes, we will let her in. Thank you. I'm so
Is
glad
Tracy here?
Join us. Tracy is here. It looks like she's here.
Picture.
Are you here?
Okay.
I am here, but my internet is being unstable. So I am having my camera off more so I can just, not use it up.
Cool. All right. And let's see, if I see, I'm sometimes not great at seeing the waiting room. So I'll keep an eye out for Louise. So Kaitlyn, that's great. You should have the agenda also that I emailed you. And we're just going to, it's been weird being on Zoom a little bit because, a lot of our grantees are event-based. So it's been a strange year for us, sort of reconfiguring and seeing how grantees are using the grants, and a lot of delayed grants and modified grants, a lot of changes. And we got off to a late start this year. Normally, our grant round opens September 1st and closes October 15th. But this year, I believe it started November 1st and closed December 15th. So everything's sort of pushed back in our calendars a little much different than it normally is. So we're sort of adjusting to it. So has anyone been in touch? So we have some grant amendment requests. I have
one other thing for public speak.
Please, I'm sorry, Sean.
And I think it fits in this area, but I wanted to mention something sort of happening that's kind of kindred to what we do, that just was hatched by the Easthampton Learning Foundation. And they're going to be giving out grants to kind of like the sort of people that we give grants to, artists, educators, and so forth, but to provide outdoor experiences for the public schools. And and it's happening right now. They're accepting applications right now. And there's some stuff on Facebook about it, but
Can you say the name again?
Easthampton Learning Foundation.
They go by ELF. I did see that, and I do know that. I know some people who had applied for grants in previous years for the public schools, like for chess club and such. That's an interesting group. Is your wife involved with it?
She has been in the past and is now. Yeah, it's a little bit different. They're changing their model. So instead of usually they would fund extracurriculars, or teachers would apply for grants to do something in the classroom, but this time around they're thinking let's do something outside the classroom and invite the community to apply. So they don't know what they're going to get, but if you know anyone who has, I was just thinking like Amy Galinas would be good for this, and I'm just thinking of other people that we've funded in the past or are funding now that would be of who would be interested in doing something. It wouldn't be for the general public, I guess. It would be for K through
Easthampton.
Yeah, Easthampton students. So just
Gail
sort of,
might
Well,
be a good person.
who would?
Gail?
Oh yeah.
I think Dan Russell's thing would be good for schools too.
Dan Russell.
Yeah, the eco program.
He does the Arcadia, the
Yeah.
songs, climate healing. We could send maybe an email if you wanted to our past grantees with those parameters, if they are, Easthampton residents. If that sounds appropriate, we could talk about it later, maybe.
Yeah, that would be good. I think just because there's a PDF with all the info on it. We could just send it on to whoever.
Great. That's great. We should do that post-meeting. Cool. Does anyone else have any more public speak? Okay. We had a grant amendment request for the Gather Here tour, which is Mickey, and she was going to be doing this piano series. Do you remember at Flywheel? But Flywheel no longer has their space on Main Street. They gave it up. So she is now working with Easthampton City Arts and would like to present in the spotlight there, where they're doing those live performances at 50 Payson in the parking lot. And it would be set for May 22nd. And we are required to just vote on it, though I wouldn't know why we would not say yes. It's a technicality that we are required to vote on her ask. Does anyone have any questions?
Did you say May 22nd?
Correct.
Correct.
And apparently ECA has not announced the event lineup yet. So I'm not sure that's a big deal. But I'm sure she's coordinated it and will be presenting to Easthampton in that fashion, in that forum. So could we vote on her amendment request to, she's no longer doing her Gather Here performance at Flywheel. She's set to do it May 22nd with Easthampton City Arts in the spotlight at 50 Payson. Does anyone object to that? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And just an aside, I will tell you, we did get one letter requesting reconsideration for one of our denials, and I will frame this in this way. It was sent over a month after the time period where we would have even been able to review the request. So it made it, and we weren't even able to vote on it or look at it. And it was from Pooja Prima. And they were sad. I'm quoting, "We're truly saddened to have received your decision." They wanted to be funded. And I wrote back, I said, they didn't understand the community benefit aspect. And I said, it's not that your program has no community benefit, it's community benefit in relation to the other grant proposals we've received. And unfortunately, we're unable to even consider giving you reconsideration because there's very specific rules that are outlined for those requests that you receive when you receive the decision on the project. So I just wanted to let you know it had come, but very late, and that was responded to, and I did not hear from her again, and I encouraged her to apply again next year. And that was Rites of Passage 2020 Vision, where she was doing a retreat in the Berkshires, in case you were wondering. what that was. And I just figured yes?
The applicant's name was Pooja Prima?
Pooja Prima, yes. And that was, I think, the only mail we had gotten in that fashion. I want to see if Louise is here, but I don't know how to do that. I'm just happy you all got in. Hello. Okay. It's like it when Lauren hosted the meetings. I'm going to be honest with you. I like to not be the host on the Zoom. So grantee liaison contact. Has anyone talked to any of their grantees?
I'll go first. I've met with Helena, the photographer who wants to do business owners and display them on the pond. She understands the logistics financially and feasibility about doing it out in the public. But we're looking to do storefronts similar to what is happening on Cottage Street with the poetry that's going on there. So she's starting to find business owners who she can take photographs of to start the process. So I think it sounds like that's a go. It's changing a little in the scope that she was proposing, because she thought she'd have these metal, I don't know what she called them, printed photographs down there, but they're way too expensive and not going to fly for the public. So if you guys are on board with the change of concept to more of a storefront portraits, she's willing to go and has a plan sort of in place.
So this wouldn't be with scanning a code and finding
that's still part of the process. It's just changing the dynamics of where you're going to see it.
Oh, so the point of the location where you find that code is on the actual store.
Yeah, so she'll take over a little bit of people's storefront, maybe, I don't know, 8x13 or the 15, but a little bit larger portrait of area business owners, and maybe, linkage to that page that she was going to do, the little interview and photo session with them. So you get more photographs and a little backstory about their pandemic world.
I have one request. If she wants to change it, can she write up a formal,
yes,
just send this with the new details so that we have an idea all together and we can see it and look at it and understand and then look at it, compare it to the original proposal.
Yeah, she knows that it's contingent on our approval, because she was pretty vague about the content of what it was to start.
Great. So ask her to write it up with more of the details, and then also mention the stores that she's talked to. Has she talked to anyone?
We were putting together a letter to present to them. So we've communicated. We hung out for the day. We walked the streets. We showed some stuff.
Great.
So it's progressing just fine. And then Doris, the Wear
Orange.
Yeah, she's going full bore. Yes, she's cruising.
She knows what she's doing.
And then the other one, my other one was the guy that does the nature walks or something like that. And you guys said he was easy, so I hadn't done anything yet.
John Root.
Yes.
John Root knows what he's doing, but the one thing that he sometimes forgets is the
acknowledgement.
Post. You got it. And his poster or whatever, his online event, whatever he makes, how he presents it, it needs to have the Mass Cultural Council and the Easthampton Cultural Council.
Okay, I will follow up with him on an email and get that going.
Cool.
I'm done.
Great. Anyone else? Talk to their grantees. I will let you know, a lot of people have submitted their paperwork. Since we're doing direct grants right now and they're not reimbursement based anymore, yay. We've gotten a lot of the paperwork in. I've turned it in. We haven't paid anyone yet because there was a little adjustment in 50 Payson signing off on the funds from the Mass Cultural Council, but I spoke with the auditor today. We don't have an auditor currently. The assistant, she retired, and our assistant auditor, Hadel Patel, is hopefully going to take her position, but she's still the assistant auditor, and she is working very hard to get those funds into our account in a timely fashion. They are there. They're just not really in our actual account. So though I had turned in a lot of paperwork, there's still a small delay. So if you hear from anyone asking, it could still take another 4 to 6 weeks. I like to tell people that just in case, but the first round should actually get out in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, which would be good. But I like to say 4 to 6 weeks because you never know. Jeff Bagg is on vacation and he needs to sign everything. So it's easier just to come in with a very outside number, and then people don't get really upset when their money isn't in the mailbox, is what I find. Does anyone have questions about that? Okay, so council program. Hi, we're doing a mural. So I've been talking to a lot of business owners in town, and the owner of Easthampton Feed. Do you all know Easthampton Feed?
Sort of.
I know Casey. Okay, so the backside of Easthampton Feed is on the bike path between Union Street and Eastworks. So it's a red metal building, and it's literally like almost in the center between where you get on the bike path at Union Street, and then if you continue on to Eastworks, it's sort of halfway. And the front is on Liberty Street? It's sort of, a lot of people don't know about it, but it's one of the longest, it may be the actual longest running consecutively business in Easthampton.
I used to buy dog food there.
Yeah, so they sell feed for every kind of animal. They sell flowers and starters and all kinds of soil and additives for soil and compost. And it's a really cool shop.
Wood
they also
pellets.
have one. Sorry?
They sell wood pellets, which I used to heat my home.
Me too.
There you go.
I think they
There
sell
you go.
tractors too.
They have a lot going on. And it came under new ownership in the recent past, within the last 10 years. And now they really have been trying to be part of the art scene in Easthampton. And I was talking to the owner a lot, and he's like, we would really love a mural on our building. And he's kind of in a perfect location because he's visible from the bike path and the building is metal. And I've been talking to a lot of professional muralists, and their first choice for a surface, their first choice is metal because they know what they're getting into. Bricks, they never know till they start painting. Bricks of any age can just suck the paint right up, and suddenly it's like hours and days and tons of paint just to prep the surface to get anything painted, and it doesn't wear well, and it's a real crapshoot. But metal, they come to it and they know how it's going to behave. And so anyone who's professional is like, yes, this is the best surface to do this on. We know the time it will take us. We know how much paint we will need. We understand how it will dry. We know how it will wear. And I think a while back I had forwarded you all Priya Nakadurmi Green. She's a professional muralist. She lives in Springfield with her husband, Andre Green, and they both do a lot of murals. They've done a bunch in Springfield, and he's doing fresh paint in June. And she has her Instagram, if anyone wants to look, Priya Green, PRIYAGREENE. And she has a lot of experience. She did one at Bay Path inside. She's just really terrific. And Dave Stauffer, is the proprietor of Easthampton Feed, and he really likes her work. And she's really interesting, and she and I had been talking. And though we come in at under her rate, we come in well under it, she would work with us. And she actually came and saw the space on Monday. She likes that it's on the bike path. her work intersects with Easthampton Feed in the way that she does a lot of natural life, plants and flowers, but not, you have to take a look. They're very bold and engaging. Her work is interesting and striking, quite frankly. And Dave is willing to finance the rest of whatever is needed. So basically, I told her what we have to pay her. I did, set up partnerships. Fleury is all in to be a partner in paint, and so is Aubuchon Hardware. I talked to their manager. They would both like to be community partners with paint and materials that she will need. And Dave is willing to cover the costs of the additional materials that would be needed for this mural. So that's where I'm at with that. I think it would be a really great, an interesting project for the council. I think it could get a lot of visibility. I think it will be gorgeous. A mural hasn't been done on the bike path in almost 30 years. Does anyone have any thoughts on this?
I'm excited. It's good. We haven't had murals in the city in a long time, and I like that spot a lot. I put 2 pieces of artwork on there last summer with his permission, because I know it's a key spot, and it's a no-brainer. I mean, I think the one thing for us to talk about is content. Just if we're going to have any kind of agreement that we put our label on it, that we enjoy the content, and I'm looking at the stuff that she and the husband has done in the past, and it's great. It's right up our alley.
Are we free to give this money to anybody we want without making it, open to bids by multiple artists to submit their, you know what I mean? I'm fine with it, but I'm just wondering, is there any trouble we could get in by not making it open?
She meets our criteria for grantee.
Yeah.
And it fits into the scope of what cultural councils are for. It fits the objective of public arts and culture. It's just not done in the grant format. It's business public relationship. He's donating something, we're donating something, we're coordinating the process. That's all.
And she has been doing this for over a year, which is the criteria we use for our grantees when they apply. And we have community partners who are very willing to work on this with her, which is kind of a big deal. So Dave, it's a big deal to a lot of building owners who is going to paint something on their building, and they really have to feel okay about it. I've talked to a lot of building owners. They need to feel that they're getting something really high quality and professional for them to sort of offer up their space, because to them it's also, while they get a lot out of it, it's also a risk at certain levels for them, and it's a little frightening if they've never done it before. So the fact that she is so professional and has so much experience, and is really an interesting person. She interned at the Studio Museum in Harlem before coming here. And she's just got a lot of, her lens is much wider, I think, than a lot of our typical grant applicants. She's doing different work, and she's, I think, got a very different background, which is interesting, and a different audience, which is also really interesting and good, I think, for us. And moreover, Dave had, I don't know if you walk past Easthampton Feed, the back of it is very unassuming, and there's this patch of grass. And I was talking to Dave, I said, we're going to plant this next to your building, and we're going to put picnic tables here, and we're going to have a spot, because he's so excited to be part of the arts scene here. And I see this as being a place where people will stop and have lunch. People will be excited to just show their friends this new art. Oh yeah, you're showing them the building.
So that's the back of the building. It's got a green space. It's got plenty of wall space there, and it's a really lovely spot.
I like this idea. I'm thinking that it might be nice to entertain a few artists as possible candidates that we can.
I have to tell you, Sean, I did a call for muralists. No one came. No one came. Not a one.
Okay, well, I mean, I'd like to. I think it would be nice to entertain more than one candidate for it, and then.
So, like I said, the building owner. Okay, go on.
I'm going to continue. Yeah.
Go on.
So that we can show the work to the council, review it as a council, and then share it with the business owner. So that would be, I think, an important step to take.
While I will agree with you, I can point out if you want to go through that process, then we won't have a mural this year, more than likely. So there's an opportunity for us to take this current budget and put it in a place to get public art there. So that's one sort of reason to maybe make an exception for this issue. But I also think in this particular case, there's a relationship between the building owner and the artist already. And I think it's low-hanging fruit. We'll actually get something positive out of here. Unless the submission is just not acceptable, and then, yeah, we may turn over and say, let's put out an RFP and do the whole process and take the 6 months it takes to get it to happen. I just think that sometimes if you're a committee, things take forever and don't get done. But when you give committee a little bit of legs and then approve what they're doing, that's another way to take a small portion, what was it, 15% of our budget, to actually get quality art out there.
I suppose my primary concern is it seems like it's not really a project of the Cultural Council, but of Rachel.
We're funding it. We're funding it.
Yeah.
So I set up all the relationships. Do you want to go out and set up relationships and talk to people? I thought we had sort of decided I would try to establish relationships and talk to building owners, and we had talked about this before. It takes actually going out and doing it, and that's what I've been doing for like 6 months. And I did send you all Priya's work last year and asked you to look at it. And we will be looking at her drawing, as will Dave. But it's not, the building owner has to agree to the artist first and foremost. We can't say you're doing this. It's sort of, no building owner will let us pick the artist. They have to pick the artist.
You're sure that's spelling right? Because I just Googled her and I found Priya Green without an E on the end. Is that her?
That's fine. Try that.
There's no E at the end.
It's a painter. It's not a, I didn't see any murals. It's an oil
And
painter.
she has murals on her site also.
Okay. I didn't see her size. That's the other Google thing. I don't know if this is relevant, but I've had two kinds of grants, one that I applied for and one that was a gift. And you don't have to pay taxes if it's a gift. You have to pay taxes on the money if you apply for it and win it. In my experience, in the past.
Well, this is her income. It's income, just like anything else. But
if you receive it as a gift, you don't have to pay taxes on it.
Okay. Well, that's not really our
So that's kind of mixing the funds. Some of the funds we give is taxable, some of it isn't.
So, Sean, if I could ask, is there anything specific you're looking for? And if we were to sort of put out a call for artists to come and give us their sort of proposals?
Not in terms of an actual project. I suppose my suggestion and preference has to do with the process that we go through in determining the council program and making sure it's collaborative.
Okay.
I will say to that this organization has not been together very long as a crew. So from my perspective, I haven't been a year. I don't know what the history was with this council and what their priorities were. So when you mention that, I'm sort of like, okay, well, I didn't see a trend. I didn't know what programs. It seemed like all we have done for the year was give out grants. but there's been no talk or goals or actual objectives, programs achieved. And I was on the EDIC. I've been on the EDIC Economics Committee of Easthampton, and we had got new leadership, which is defined what our responsibilities are, what our goals are, and some targets for us to do. And I think that while Rachel has achieved an opportunity to hit a target, I will agree that it hasn't really been structured, but I don't think there's been any structure to our programming anyhow. So yes, I think we can talk about conversations about, and it's on the list, officers, is on our agenda here. So I think that it's been a little free falling, flowing, especially with the pandemic. And so it's a question of, we have some opportunity here. And like you said, Sean, maybe we need to talk about structure, about going forward with projects in general.
Yes, I think I'd agree. My sense is that our procedure for determining the recipient of the cultural the local grant, the one that we're talking about right now, would be much smaller and much more limited. And I mean, we're not taking 40 applications. It would be like a smaller pool of applicants that we could talk about. In this case, I know we had talked about projections. We talked about art downtown. Today we're talking about a mural. I would just like there to be some sort of, deliberation, I guess, of the council's part in terms of some aspect of it. I'm hearing the artist's name today. What if we had a few artists? I mean, that's, I think, possible, isn't it?
No.
So you're going to invest the time to find out who those artists are and to get them to give us submissions?
We, as a cultural council, could decide to go forward with this council program in that fashion. Yes.
So wouldn't that just put a... Sorry.
Go on, Chris, please, go on.
What, Rachel, didn't you mention that the property owner has to find the artist?
The property owner will not let us pick an artist. Every property owner I've talked to, there is no way they will let us pick an artist. They want to know what's going on in their building. No one is interested in that. They're very controlling. And I understand it. That's their space. It was very hard for me to at first even convince people that I would have an artist that would be good for them. She's a very high caliber artist. She's, like I said, we can't afford her, but she would work with us. And she has a lot of experience doing this, and she has an interesting audience, and I think she adds a lot. And I did send you all her name last year because she's someone I've been talking to for a while. About the idea. And when we put out our call for grant applications, we got none for murals. And we were very specific about asking for public art. Moreover, I did a call in a big way, not one person. And I talked to lots of people. Is there anyone that wants to paint a mural in Easthampton? I didn't get one person that even I had to go and talk to people. No one. So while I understand what you're saying, Sean, and I don't necessarily disagree with what you're looking for, if you'd like to move it forward to find a different process, and you'd like to go, and usually these committees are subcommittees of 1 or 2 people that just go and deal with this and then present it to the rest of the group when you're dealing with the public art aspect. So that's how ECA does it. ECA, in their coordinating committee, they don't deal with the public art. They have a subcommittee called public art. And they go and they deal with it. And then they just let the rest of the group know what they're doing. And if you moving forward, you wanted to have like a public art subcommittee or something like that, maybe, and with a more defined process. But like Casey said, if we'd like to add and contribute to the face of public art this year, we will not be able to do that in the way which the details you are discussing here tonight. It will not happen. So I know that Fleury cannot wait to partner with us to do paint. And Aubuchon, since Manchester closed, is looking at a whole new section of clients, and they're very excited. And I think it's a great opportunity that's sort of there for us to take, and our name will certainly be on it. We will be given credit. She's very professional. She really knows what she's doing. And Dave is willing to cover the rest of the costs that we cannot cover, which is huge for us, I think. Because money
Is this something she'd do it this summer?
She would do it in June.
June.
And it gets better, Sean. You might like this. She would need a few volunteers. So the process goes like this. She plugs a projector in when it's dark, and they project onto the wall the image, and they do an outline of the image. And then she has some volunteers. She needs at least one volunteer, maybe a couple, who paint with her, which is kind of a great community thing. That I would put a call for, and people love doing that. They like to be, it can even be high school students. It can be however we'd like to involve them. But I think this is an opportunity where so many different community entities get to be involved in it. And it's achievable. It's manageable.
I think it sounds like a good project. My reservation is that it doesn't seem to be a project of the Easthampton Cultural Council at this point. It sounds like it was something that was, you did a lot of legwork for and are bringing to the council. And, we're hearing about it now. And so that's my reservation. It doesn't feel like it's coming out of the council.
I understand, but that's how it was with everything I presented to you with the projections. That was like that with every single thing I've presented to you. And I didn't know that anybody else wanted to go out and canvas and do things. I believe we discussed that.
I will say this is sort of a big red flag for something that we talked about, Michael Banis's property and how he was willing to have something on there. So this is not new that we're having conversations about public art through murals. The issue is the pieces came together from somebody who's very willing and interested in having public art on their property, that 2 and 2 came together and there's an opportunity. And while we can discuss the process, we have to look at this, I think, as a win and an opportunity to learn, to say, can't do renegade art funding projects, but we can talk about ways to get stuff achieved.
Also, we will look at the drawing. She is going to have a rendering. There's no agreement that's been made. No one's come to an agreement or has said yes to this at all. It's more just the pieces are in place if we choose to move forward. And no one has seen the image yet. And we will all see the image and we will all look at it, as will the building owner. We're all gonna look at it. We're all going, and I think every project I brought to you and I said, well, I've talked to these people and I've talked to those people, that's sort of how it's happening. And if you want to define a more delineated process moving forward, if this becomes an annual thing that we would like to move forward with, as far as I know, the Cultural Council historically has not done a council program in the recent past. I think they did EAT before I was a member of the council. And really that was done through ECA when ECA had us as a subcommittee, which they can't do. It's a conflict of interest. So really, the council's never done an actual council program. So I'm not sure that there is, a process in place, but I'm happy to outline one that we can all review and talk about and then, incorporate as part of what we do. It's easier for me. it's easy. I think it's easier for everyone. I like it when stuff makes sense and has an order in which it is done. But this, I think I've been keep coming to you with these things and people I've talked to each time. That's how it's kind of been.
So if we do want to do this as an annual thing, and it sounds like we kind of do, and we want to promote public art in town, and we currently have a problem where whenever we put out a call for artists, we don't really get any artists. It seems like the best way to get the word out would be to go through with a project just like this.
So it's so interesting you say that, because Priya said to me, she goes, because I talked about Easthampton, I said, I've been talking to a lot of people and it's really hard. She goes, once people see how it happens, they become very excited to be part of it because they can see it. They can visualize it. They get an understanding. It's not just words that are coming at them. They see that. And I would promote the whole process. We would take pictures of the entire thing before and during and after and really tell the story of how this happens and how to engage with the work and where it is and who the artist is and what the council does. It's an opportunity to actually share what we do, and then yes, use it to draw from and say, hey, artists, look, we did this. This is what we'd like to do. Yes. And also the community partners get really excited when it works for them. Suddenly there's a resource for paint and brushes, and it becomes a really engaged environment, which is, I think, a lot of what the council is wanting to do. That's what and it may seem like I brought you this idea, but it's completely a council program. Our grant applications are based on having community partners that give in-kind donations, having credit for the work through the council, and engaging the community and having community benefits. So I have to say, I do think it is a council program. I do think it completely reflects the council priorities.
Yeah.
I go out as the chair of your cultural council. I have a production company called Silent Partner Productions. If I'm Rachel Phillips, I'm doing stuff with Silent Partner Productions. That's not what this is. And I pay everyone. I do not have, no one's giving me paint. I do think this fulfills our priorities, and I'm happy. And Sean, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm happy to do, if this is something we do want to do, let's create a way that we do it where everyone feels more involved, if that's what you'd like to feel. And no one there's no agreement that's been made, and we are going to look at the proposed design altogether. I'm not signing off on anything. The building owner has to approve it, first and foremost. They're the most reticent in my experience. And yes, Chris is completely right. When you have something that you've done and people can look at as an example, it becomes much easier to wrap their heads around. And they want to be part of it because it's good and it's going to be good. She's a professional artist who has a lot of experience with this, and it's in a great spot with great visibility.
Where are her other murals visible?
Springfield, Bay Path College. Take a look at her website. There's a bunch on there. And other building owners will come to us too, because then they'll see we have this professional experience.
I just want to say that the only other mural that's sort of, and I use the word very loosely, I want you to know, is along on Phillips Enterprises, right across from Williston, where there is nice graffiti work, very colorful, very bright, very visible.
I like that.
I'm just saying, I don't know if the owner had any input on that. When it went up. I
know you're joking, so.
I'm saying very loosely, mural, but that's
I like that head on the wall. I like that head on the wall.
That's a potential. And then further down, almost into Southampton, there's another building. There's a large empty canvas waiting to be.
I appreciate that. Can I tell you one thing? I did tour Priya and Andre around a little bit in Easthampton, and I brought them up the bike path to behind Eastworks and the other mills and showed them. And they looked at me and they go, you know, we've never been behind the mills before. We did not even know this existed. And they said, why don't you have any murals here? This is like prime spot. I said, yeah, I know. Tell me about it. And he looked at me, he goes, Rachel, you should do a mural festival. So Sean, you could have, like, we could, I mean, and I was like, I looked at him, I said, I'm a volunteer, dude. I got stuff to do. I said, you're right. But, and I mean, listen, we could really have a mural festival. He is not wrong. I've been talking to Matt Tarlecki from Abandoned Building Brewery since I joined this committee. And Matt Tarlecki is desperate to get a mural on Abandoned Building Brewery. And I said, apply. Every year I'm like, apply, get an artist, do this, apply. And I think sometimes a lot of people have a lot going on, and it just seems they cannot find the room, the bandwidth to get that application done, because even though to me it seems pretty straightforward, to them it's this whole other world. And I think getting something like this done, maybe it'll even inspire us all. I would love to have a mural festival. I would love to get the back of the mill buildings painted, and for that we could have such a call for entries, and I mean, you want to do it big. I would love to do that. If you're interested. But I do think that getting this one project going in this time period when people need something to look forward to, they're so excited to get out of their houses, just to get something going and have it done, and something, you know, that fits in with our priorities would be just so valuable to us.
Should we put it to a vote that we continue the progress of the project?
I second that. I'll vote for it. Yeah.
All right. All in favor? That we continue forward on the project?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
We're going to look at the drawing, Sean.
Absolutely.
It's not like just
Approved,
getting
not
pushed
approved.
through.
We're agreeing that the process can continue.
I mean, my only real concern is that, like, they do a shitty job when the paint starts peeling in 10 years. And I've painted metal. It rusts and it sucks. You know, it can. So I assume she knows what she's doing.
She does. And then in 10 years, if that happens, either we have a small grant that touches it up, or it gets painted over and a new mural gets painted.
Yeah.
I mean, this happens. This happens.
But
the one by Tandem Bagels lasted a long time. It looks great.
It's
exactly.
true. And
the portraits that we funded Tracy Eller that were on the Eastworks didn't last a year.
I know they're coming down. I saw that.
They're more than that. So you can criticize that it lasts 10 years. The investment versus the return is there.
And, you know, we can also talk about a small fund for restoration and for maintenance too. I mean, there are ways to discuss this and to have protocols in place to deal with these things if we want to as a committee. Because like I said, we have not done public art like this. I think it would be a big deal for us. I think it would be an asset.
Yes.
A big feather in our cap. And it is the Cultural Council. It is not me. I'm not doing this. I mean, I'm doing this. I'm putting this together. But like I said, I would love to get the back of the mills done. So I think we have a vote. Even if you hold out, Sean, we have voted to move forward with it. And I appreciate all your sentiment. And we will review the drawing, and she will have a rendering pretty soon, and I will email it to all of you. Okay? And if you want, we can convene another meeting too to talk about it.
Sean, I'm also, oh, sorry.
No, please.
I was just going to say that I'm all in favor of the sort of more thorough procedure that you're proposing, you know, if we want to make this into a yearly thing. You know, as far as next year, if we get more artists that want to do this, I would be more than happy to do something like that.
That's great. I would too. I like it when stuff is outlined and we know exactly the parameters we're working in, and because it makes it easier for me. I don't have to explain everything to everybody because it's all right there. Anyone else have any thoughts on this? Okay, so we're gonna move along. Where are we? So officers. Oh, this is fun. So we had talked about we talked about at some point before the pandemic that we'd like to vote for officers in the spring. I would love to have a co-chair. I would love to have someone who would like to be a chair. We don't have a treasurer. Sean is currently our secretary. We have Tracy is technically our website person. We have a lot of room for officers. And Kaitlyn, this may or may not be of interest to you if you decided you wanted to be part of the council. I encourage people to sort of say, what are the skills I want to bring to this group and how much time do I have? And it's not a huge time commitment, but more just and sort of create the position you'd like to have. We must have a chair, a treasurer, and a secretary. We are governed by Massachusetts general law in that way. We take up a section of MGL that dictates our structure. We are like every other cultural council throughout Massachusetts. There are over 300 of them. And I do like these formal requirements. It makes it easier for me. So we don't have a treasurer right now, which is not a big deal. I'm sort of doing that. Secretary, we're required, we have open meeting law. We're required to submit minutes. Now that we're using Zoom, they are also recorded. They qualify as minutes as well. But I would love it if somebody wanted to be the chair eventually. I would love to have a co-chair to show you all, and I hope you all want to know the process that we use. And we have a lot of formal requirements. With all of our grantees, the proposals, with how we correspond with them in the acceptance or denial. And these are, like I sent everyone, all of our applicants received either a denial from us, which included like a letter and then 3 attachments. And then 2 weeks later, all of our yeses, the same thing. And then we have an annual report. We're actually the only municipal committee whose funds go through the state and we're accountable to the state. It's not a big deal. It sounds more of a big deal than it is, but we're the only municipal committee because we live outside of the jurisdiction of Easthampton. We live under the state. We have state funds and we are obligated to the state with these requirements. So if anyone has interest in learning this stuff, I think it's great that the whole group should learn it. And I think it's harder now that we're Zooming. I personally am vaccinated. I don't know where you're all at with this, but at some point in real life, it's nice to show everyone how the work gets done. Because it sounds like words. It's like the same thing with the mural. Once you see it and you see how it happens, oh, that's how it happens. It's the same, I think, with this work. These are words until you see the paperwork that goes into it,
Right. I would love to co-chair with you. I have been
do you have time?
on city committee for 10 years. Yeah. I was co-chair of ECA last year, so I'm used to running meetings. I could tell that you could use some help. You tend to run on with conversations about topics when we need to move on. This has already been an hour. You know what I mean?
Great.
So I think that, and clarity and fairness. So I will, if the group would accept me as co-chair, I will help you out.
I'll second that.
I think it needs to go to a vote.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So you can put
Okay.
me down as co-chair.
That's great. You're going to host the meeting. So does anyone want to be the treasurer? We can leave that open. You can think about it. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you want to ask questions when we're out of the meeting, feel free to be in touch with me. If you are unclear about what your obligation would be, but you're curious to know more about it, ask me. Just ask me, because eventually I will not be here anymore. I will get termed out, and I will be forced off the committee for at least a year. And so let's move along to the website. I was just going to briefly say, Tracy, when I announced the grantees, I just put a link to every project I could to everyone's website, just so that I just did that super quickly so that when people looked, it looked like we had, you know, a site with them on it. But they can still each get their own page if they want it.
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet.
So there is something there.
Yeah.
Because I realize everyone's busy, and I don't like to I'll be like, hey, so, but they will submit some stuff, and I know, you know, like I said, it's okay even if it's just that for now. But if you want to talk about that when we're not in the meeting anymore another time, that's fine too.
Yeah, no, I would just say that as people are reaching out to their grantees and stuff, you know, including a link to what is there, and if, you know, they have images or anything that they want to share, you know, to submit those, send those along, and we'll get them up. So, you know, it's really a great place for people who maybe don't have their own website, to sort of, you know, have a space to, you know, to share what the work that they're doing, and to see it in context with all the other great grantees that we have.
It's true. And it does give people a landing place if they don't have their own website, like you said, which is terrific, because I know some people have been concerned about that. And right now, I think about 90% of our grantees do have a live link on our website, just on the page with the 2021 grantees. So they have something, and we can flesh it out. So content, they, you know, a photo and a blurb, and when their event is, and we can put it up.
Yeah. We did some stuff last year, and we're just getting started when all of a sudden everything, you know, crashed with COVID. So, it's last year is not a good year to look at, but the year before is much better.
Yeah, it's been a time of different stuff. We're sort of feeling it out, and I'm hopeful it will get easier. Does anyone else have any other new business?
I had an old set of minutes that I forgot to take attendance for, and it's from December, and I'm wondering if my memory isn't good, but I know I was there because I took the minutes. But if anyone remembers not being at the December meeting, I won't put your name on it.
I think I missed one, and I think it was December.
I also missed one, and I think it might have been December.
Okay.
I haven't missed one.
I can confirm that for you. I don't know.
I was there. I can tell you I was there.
Okay. I mean, I was. I don't think it's too important if we're not perfect, but I just wanted to put it out there before I send to Barbara.
Cool. I was there. And I think Lauren had to have been there too, because I did not host any meetings. So Lauren was there.
Okay.
If that is helpful. And I put next meeting TBD because hopefully we'll have some art to look at or something. And then we'll continue, if it's okay, with this third Tuesday at 6:30.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
So, Sean, I was definitely not there in the December meeting, just to confirm that for you.
Thank you.
Does anybody know offhand what that date is, the third week of May?
I can tell you, yeah. Hang on.
21st or 20th.
No, 18th.
Oh, 18th, right? You're right. Sorry.
18th.
All learn to count together.
Cool. All right. So if anyone, unless anyone has anything else to say, we should conclude this meeting. And if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me outside of the meeting, officers or anything else. I invite it. Yes. Thank you.
All right.
See ya.
Meeting adjourned.
Perfect. Co-chair.
Yeah.
Bye.